And I'm going to show you physical proof how right now, institutions can use regulated stablecoins in DeFi strategies on the XRPL right
token.
now.
So that puts yield somewhere around 16%. It's permissionless lending from the DeFi world. And I think it's a really great example of how these two worlds.
Example with real world assets. This is now a very real disruptive force to traditional finance. And for example, in our case, our focus right now is bringing $100 trillion worth of assets that DTCC is responsible for on chain. Proportionate risk, that's coming. That's coming very fast. And I think it's going to radically change the kind of value that can be parked on blockchain rails.
I think you're rolling your dice more, not hedging against the demise of the old system.
Dang, that's actually...
I'll put it that way. I'll put it that way.
So much going on, though, in the world. So much going on in crypto.
Dude, sometimes it gives me anxiety, bro.
Being this tapped in, huh?
Dude, it's like, I don't know how normal people that are just out there, like I'll go out in public, bro, and just see everybody just okay with the way things are. And I'm like, does nobody know what's happening right now? Does nobody know that the financial system's changing, that dollars depreciating at a rapid value, that prices are going up, that it's getting harder to live, and everybody's out here suffering, but just okay with it?
I know. It's mind-blowing.
It's mind-blowing. I'm not suffering personally. I know you're not suffering because we're tapped into what matters, and we've been milking the system for what they've been giving us, bro. Like
facts.
If people aren't tapped into what's happening in the financial gains that you can make from this industry right now, oh my goodness, bro, we were just up 900% on a digital asset the other day because we were tapped into AI agents and the trending wave that's happening right now with these large institutions and just traders in general automating their trading strategies, bro.
Facts. Hey, and we had them on the pod too, which is so like legendary if you think about it. Like 5 years from now, looking back at like these podcasts, these interviews, these conversations that we were having, bro, like it's gonna be epic. I'm excited to tell these stories when I'm a grandfather in the future.
It's definitely a really great time to be alive, but so there's some really crazy stuff happening, man, that a lot of people just aren't ready for. It's actually it's a really sad story. It's like some of the population is awake and aware to what's happening, but the mass majority is not.
Yeah, 100%.
Bro, decentralized finance and the financial system, which is what we're going to talk about today, is playing such a massive role in what's going on. I want to pick up off our conversation that we were having before, because it's going to kind of roll us into today's conversation. What was that question that you asked when we first hopped on a call?
Oh, okay. So yeah. This is a powerful, we're going to probably be here for a minute, but these prices that we see right now, even like the prices that we've seen back in 22, 23, 24, do you think, 26 and beyond, we're going to see these all-time lows ever again? Like, do you think if XRP ends up doing numbers and we do like $10, $20, for example, do you think XRP would ever go and revisit 50 cents again type of thing? You know what I mean? Or 30 cents, I mean, and for all of the digital assets for that matter too, you know what I mean? Because some of these prices are kind of mind-blowing.
No, if I'm being completely honest, like to just give you a straightforward answer, like, and I mean, I know that right now it might sound a little bit too forward thinking, because do I think it's going to happen anytime soon? No, we're still in a trading environment. We're not in a utility driven environment yet. Hold on one second.
Yeah.
I have OCD and I could see that one of my books was crooked, so I had to straighten it. It would have fucked me the whole time. Bro,
That's hilarious.
I got that from the military. I'm very peculiar, and I know where all my stuff is in my house everywhere, bro. Like everywhere.
Yeah.
Dude, like if somebody came in my house and moved one little tiny thing, one little fucking pen, I'd know.
You would know, huh?
Yeah, bro. I got my shit locked down. But yeah, anyways, yeah, man. I mean, think about it logically speaking, right? I mean, we we're talking about this Amazon stock, even if the freaking stock market corrected 85%, 90%, still wouldn't trade at 8 cents or whatever,
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I think that there's going to be a floor eventually where we never see these prices again. And I mean, it gets into the realm of speculation and putting our finger on the time frame in which that's going to be, a livable event. But yeah, I think it's coming. I think it's possible. It would be illogical to think that that could not happen and want to play a role in that if it does. I'd rather take the risk and expose myself to this market in case it does happen, rather than I feel like I'd be taking more risk not taking part of this transformation and being stuck in fiat currencies or currencies that are continuing to devalue year after year after year. And
Yeah.
so, whether that's you're sticking your assets in or your capital in gold or any of these assets that depreciate against devaluating fiat. I mean, I think you're rolling your dice more, not hedging against the demise of the old system.
Dang, that's
I'll
actually,
put it that way.
yeah, no, that's real. That's a very wise way of thinking too. Just based on what we've seen and what we know, all the things that you have shared and the CYPRX researchers have helped out with, it's mind blowing to be here in this, space and time and be this tapped in. It's truly a blessing.
And people, it's really sad because people deny that this stuff is happening. But here again in this community, myself, Aqua, we have shown so much undeniable proof that this is taking place. These aren't words coming from us. Like, they are telling people publicly that the banking system is a scam, that traditional finance is dead, and we're transitioning. We're moving from this old decaying system, and there's an enhancement happening, right? An enhancement of the old outdated financial system. Systems that are outdated are going to be replaced. And eventually we're going to get to a point where the normal person is transacting fully on blockchain, distributed ledger technology, utilizing digital assets. And most people are still not even going to know that that's what's running the whole new system, because most people don't know what happens after they go to Starbucks right now and swipe their card for a coffee with that payment after they pay. As long as they get their coffee, they're happy, they go home. So there's going to be a certain portion of people that doesn't know that this stuff exists. But a larger portion of the population is going to catch on. And that is happening. We're in this massive transformation. We're in this awakening, kind of how we started. You were talking about like people are becoming aware that we're being poisoned. Well, same thing with our finances. More people are becoming aware that the old system is ripping us off. Things are costing more. We're not making, I mean, again, I'm trying not to speak for myself because I'm personally not suffering, but I see it, right?
Right.
I see it. I see people. I see the statistics because I'm a trader, because I'm an investor. I read these stats all fucking day. People are suffering. Credit card debt is at an all-time high. People can't pay their fucking bills. It's crazy right now. There's a lot of stuff going on. Anyways, that's besides the point. People are like, yo, what's this? This is blockchain. This is distributed ledger tech. I can have my cash here and I can earn 5%. I can earn 6% on my idle capital, and I can compound that every second of every single day in regulated stable coins right now. So you mean to tell me that if I was getting a paycheck every single day, if I was making $100 a day, I could take that $100 and I could go put it in a yield in a DeFi protocol right now, which is taking risks. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that there's not a level of risk. I'm not by any means. I'm saying that there is, but if you understand the game properly, you can avoid that risk and minimize it. Besides the point, people are waking up and realizing, oh my gosh, the old system sucks. A checkings account gives me 0.005%. In order to get the 0.05%, I have to have $100,000 minimum in the freaking account. That's shit. That's crap. You're getting nothing. But if you take that over to DeFi, you're making $1 a day, $5 a day. In some cases, you could get to $100 a day. I know people in DeFi right now that are making $5,000 a day. You're right. The finances are not the point. The money is not the point. The point is that there is somebody in the world right now, might be in a worse condition than you, that needs that dollar a day. that needs that $5 a day. And that population that needs that money, that needs that rapid growth, that needs that yield and can benefit from it is coming. And they are fucking telling everybody, and people are sleeping. I'd say that DeFi, bro, just to kind of transition, is the #1 niche category in crypto, or at least one of the top 3 that people are sleeping on. Sleeping on.
Yeah, and I feel like it's a logical risk to take because it's cash flow. You know, I mean, you're just changing your risk direction. Think about it. If you're a 9-to-5 resume builder type of person, that's how you earn your cash flow, by going to work. You're on some level taking a risk. You don't know if they're going to have the doors open tomorrow. So, you know, it's just redirecting your risk. I feel like you said, once you mitigate your risk with impermanent loss and stuff like that, dude, it's definitely worth it. It's definitely worth it. Better than.
Let me put it this way, to capitalize on the word that you just said, impermanent loss, right? A lot of people don't understand that there are impermanent loss mitigation strategies, right? So for example, if you go look at my DeFi portfolio and you look at my equity curve, which has been rising since I started participating in DeFi through all of the shit that we've been through over the past 2 years since I started my DeFi portfolio, which is separate from my long-term portfolio, which is separate from my day trading portfolio, which is separate from my cold storage portfolio. Like, I'm diversified, okay? But that's besides the point. A lot of people I see are skeptical about DeFi because they're like, oh, what about impermanent loss? It makes you lose money. My impermanent loss factor, if you at a scale of 1 to 10 on my risk portfolio, on what amount of my portfolio is, you know, experiences impermanent loss, it'd be like 0.05, because the whole vast majority of my DeFi portfolio, 80% of it is in stable coins. So when the market's doing all kinds of crazy stuff, I'm just compounding and compounding and compounding and compounding every single day, and then buying the dip, taking that money, putting it at a low, getting price appreciation on it, pulling profit, putting it back in stable coins. And bro, it's like a high yield savings account on fucking steroids. Not only is that happening, but now we're about to be able to integrate AI into those strategies for them to do it for us. And me and you have been proving to everybody that also the financial institutions are doing this. Okay, listen, that whole entire strategy that I just explained to you all, which is a looping strategy, right? It's okay. Institutions are doing that right now. I'm going to prove that to you guys in today's video breakdown. So,
yeah.
Okay,
that's what we run at the Well 28 Club. That's the same strategy majority of us are running. Just a heads up, everyone that's listening. And like you're saying, it's like a high yield savings account on steroids, especially when you're tapped in. Like, this is, once you're tapped in, man, it's just it's like stealing candy from a baby, to be honest with you. It's almost unreal. But I mean, I'm not saying you definitely have to put in the elbow grease to understand it. You know what I mean? It's not just something like you're going to jump off this live and then go, jump into DeFi and be like, doing exactly what we say. Like, no, there's like a level of like education that comes with it for sure. But it's definitely manageable. It's doable by anybody that's tapped in right now. Anybody can do it. It's not rocket science. I mean, would you even say, let me ask you a quick question before you start sharing, because you're a master trader. You're one of the best traders I've ever met in my entire life that actually hits. And actually, when you say something is going to happen with the market, it actually does that, right? So your level of accuracy is just like, it's mind blowing to me. It took you years to get there, right? Would you say that to be a master trader, or to be is there the same level of education and time that you need to put in to be a master trader compared to just understanding DeFi and like getting your digital assets to work?
Oh, 100%, bro. Anybody, when you talk to people, like normal people, most people think that, okay, let me really truly in-depthly answer your question. As a 7-figure person, a person that has a 7-figure net worth, right? One thing I've learned is there's a separation in mindset from the average person to an entrepreneur, or a person who really can show potential to make $1 million plus. And one of the key components is mentorship, or schools, or leadership programs, or networking communities. Poor people, or people of the lower income earning population, are so forced into the school system that they learn to hate school. It becomes like a natural push away. Most people don't like going to school. Most people don't like sitting through tests. It costs a lot of money. They then learn that it's freaking college. You don't really need college now. There's a whole bunch of bullshit manipulation that happens. And so they get pushed away from that type of influence. Any millionaire that I've talked to, I have 2 billionaires in my network of people whom I know those billionaires. And all of them in the conversations that I've been a part of have talked about programs that they joined or events that they went to or networking circles that they've paid to be a part of or schools that they've taken that give you certificates that aren't through the school system, all this stuff. And so, yes, bro, there's a level of education to it. It's a lot easier, right? Because you have AI nowadays that can literally answer any question in the blink of an eye. But to say and agree with you, yes, you can't just jump into DeFi and just expect to make money. You're going to lose money most likely more often than you make it if you don't know what you're doing. So educate yourself, right? Learn. If you don't know what a vocabulary word is, read about it, enlighten yourself. We're in the age of information, and there's communities out there like ours. There's many others, and I try to make that be known because we're not the only one out there. But we are a community that has access to information that a lot of communities don't have access to and probably never, ever will, right? Because we've built things behind the scenes that our community has access to. And it's crazy. It's really crazy what we are able to tap into now because of market data information. And all of that in which is going to be able to be programmed over to these new systems, automated in such a way. And if you're not a part of that, or if you're not motivated to be a part of that, why even involve yourself in crypto? Just to hold and benefit from price appreciation? That's cool and all, but there's so much more to what's happening right now. There's a level of enlightenment that comes with this journey, with this process of being involved in these new digital assets. This is the birth of a new asset class. It is not just about buy and hodl anymore. There's so much more that meets the eye that is coming and that is happening right now that, again, like I mentioned, DeFi and earning and generating yield and having automatic yield strategies integrated with AI agents and being quantum resistant. This is all a whole nother level of utility that these digital assets have that most people in the utility spectrum of things don't pay attention to because they're so focused on the payment aspect of these cryptos that they don't even understand what they can do for them now to expand their wealth. So they're just holding. That makes no sense. Why would you hold Solana? You're a firm believer of Solana, right? You think Solana is going to go to $1,000 in the future and you're going to hold it for the next freaking 10 years minimum. Why on earth would you not want to earn 6% that whole entire 10 years? Why would you not want to do that? Imagine a person that holds Solana for 10 years and earns 6% on it for 10 years versus a person that doesn't earn 6% on it for 10 years. Who's going to have more money at the end?
Yeah.
So all the XRP holders listening, we have been screwed the past 5 years of our freaking XRP holding because most people that are XRP OGs have been holding since before 2020, right? So that's why I say 5 years. If you've been holding before that like me, then congratulations to you. But I'm just talking about that level of OGs. Imagine if over the last 5 years, y'all, if you're listening right now, the last 5 years while we battled with the SEC, while we had doubts when XRP dropped to 28 cents and we saw tweets and all this crap manipulating our minds and all these people telling us this, telling us that. I've never been a believer of an immediate high price on XRP. I'm a believer that it'll go somewhere higher in the future, but nobody could ever find one single video where I've made a high price prediction on XRP because I haven't done it. Because I don't know. And I don't claim like I fucking know. But I do know that the XRPL is being integrated into the back-end financial system and I can show proof. I can show fucking proof, bro. Right? Yeah. So imagine if for the last 5 years, y'all listening, if we could have earned 8% on our XRP the whole time. You know how fat my XRP bags would be right now because I was buying XRP when it was at 11 cents.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me, bro?
Yeah. Yeah.
Dude, it's crazy. And so, ETH holders have had that opportunity the whole time. And that is all time. That's all coming, bro. It's all changing.
Yo, it's shout out to Hugo Filion and what they building over there, a Flare network for us XRP holders. And his main focus has been XRP. He's going to come out with 3 different F assets. It's Doge, Bitcoin, and XRP, and he was, you know, he came out with XRP first. Their main focus is XRP first, and then they're going to roll out Doge and BTC. But yeah, you know, I'm really excited. I mean, Flare, such an undervalued asset. It's just it's so mind blowing. Once you get past the buzzwords of like, oh, I hold Flare Network because it's Web3, and you really understand what Flare Network does as far as like DeFi and how you can get your assets working for you and earning yield, like we've been talking about this entire time, it's finally going to be a light bulb that goes off, and it's just going to be like, oh, snap. This is what it does. Like, yeah, this is exactly what it does. You know what I mean?
Let me play this video of Hugo Filion, but then I want to full circle after I play this video because I don't want to go off a beaten path. So that was the intro. That was the intro to today's video, y'all, just for everybody listening. That was just so we could get people in the door, because we talked about proof. I talked about how I have physical evidence. Don't think that we're not going to show you all that. We're not the hype people. We show evidence here at CYPRX. I'm going to show you guys fundamentals that have just come out, backing everything that I've been saying just now on the call. I'm not making none of this stuff up. Everything that I just said in the opening call of today's video, I can prove. And so that's the different level that we operate on here. We don't make speculative bets off of nothing. We make speculative bets off of data and information. And that is why we are winning in this community. Aqua just said that I'm one of the best traders that he's ever seen. You want to know why that is? It's because we got data. We got data, bro. Data is the new oil. And if you don't understand that, if you don't have the proper data to combat against these artificial intelligent algorithms that can move the markets, y'all, you are not going to win. Write down what I just said. If you don't have access to the right data and information, and you're always reading readable information, you are always going to lose. Any AI agent that you build in the future is going to lose. You're most likely going to lose, and it's not your fault. It is because you're going up against people with more data, with more information, and that can process it faster in these new systems that are being built. I can promise y'all. Write down what I just said.
Yeah. No, you're cooking sauce right now, bro.
Check this out right here. Let's listen just to prove what you were talking about. For anybody that doesn't know what Flare is, take a look at it for sure. Do some research. Definitely an asset I got in my portfolio. I even have an old Twitter post from Johnny Deaton, and I don't remember the correct, so don't quote me, but it said something along the lines of that. He posted, Flare is one of the most underrated digital assets in the ecosystem. Something along the lines of that. It's one post. It's like one sentence. And it was back from maybe like the beginning of the year. I got to find it. It's in my bookmarks. I'll go through and I'll maybe in the recording, I'll slap it right there because I know I'll find it. But here's this video of Hugo real quick, is to back what you were talking about. There's a little clip of him saying this.
Yeah.
We're gearing up for essentially building a fully fledged DeFi ecosystem for XRP. And that's fundamentally going to be driven, I think, by a protocol that we've funded, being built by another party that is doing XRP restaking, securing services and other networks, so AVSs, for restaking protocol, but with XRP, issuing a liquid staking token on Flare, and that liquid staking token going into the DeFi ecosystem, so you'll be able to borrow it against XRP, you'll be able to borrow it against dollars, you'll be able to do looped lending, which is a very desirable.
Hold on, pause. I'm going to go back. He just said you're going to be able to loop lending strategies, lending and borrowing. Okay, this is all important because I'm going to physically prove to you guys that institutions are already doing this, like literally right now in the moment. Okay, so hopefully this video breakdown wakes you guys up and gets you to see this is going to be undeniable proof that DeFi is the level playing field that Trump was talking about in his last term. I have video clips of him talking about that.
The currency devaluations, I've been complaining about that for a long time. And I believe that we will all eventually, and probably very much sooner than a lot of people understand or think, we will be all at a level playing field, because that's the only way it's fair.
Okay. And that we are going to be able to participate in DeFi strategies, and that DeFi strategies bring another level of utility to these digital assets.
Years ago, DeFi actually brought utility to ETH, right? Now, if you're holding ETH, you can lend it, you can borrow, you can stake, you can do so many things.
That most people are denying. Most people are in this like hodl mindset, and they think that that's the only level of utility that these digital assets house is for payments or so on and so forth. But there's so much more than meets the eye that is about to be unlocked for the first time ever. Okay. So check this out. In last week's episode or podcast, myself and Aqua shared this, and it is Donald Trump Jr. saying that the banking system is a Ponzi scheme and that what's going to save this is blockchain, DeFi, digital assets. And on stage, he's sitting with the two Zacks from World Liberty Finance talking about how they're going to provide more yield in people's everyday average checkings and savings account, and people are going to be able to earn yield on their income every single second of every day, right? We played this last week's episode. I don't want to beat a dead horse. I'm only going to play one clip, and it's of Donald Trump Jr. saying that the whole banking system's a scam. And yet, in last week when we played this video only had 60 some views. It still only has 119 views. Nobody's watching this stuff.
Why come into the cryptocurrency space? Why come in the blockchain industry? What about our industry philosophically was appealing to you, and what problems do you want to solve?
Listen, I think for me, it was really interesting, right? I came from a hard asset family. That's what we did. We built and sold and held real estate forever. And for a long period of time, I had access to everyone in the world. I could pick up and the phone and speak to any banker and get a loan almost instantly. And everything was sort of easy. And then all of a sudden we got into politics and we made our opinions known, and you put that little R next to your name, and all of a sudden that became really difficult. And I sort of realized very quickly just how much discrimination there is in the ordinary financial markets. Beyond the inefficiency, beyond the waste, the amount of bankers I know that make 7 figures a year, basically moving a piece of paper from one side of a desk to another, not really adding any value. It was such a rude awakening to just how discriminatory the entire market is, just how inefficient it was. And, as I started learning more about, crypto, blockchain, everything, you realize, wait a minute, this is the answer to all of this stuff. So I guess I jokingly said, I got myself in a little trouble. I jokingly said the first time I was asked this sort of question was like, I realized I was just at the top of the pyramid scheme. I didn't realize that. I realized that the entire, financial system and the entire banking world was really one big Ponzi scheme. I just had the benefit of being, in the upper echelon of that. And once I was at the bottom rung, and we're getting debanked and canceled for, simply having opinions that didn't go along with the fold.
Okay, so I think we've heard enough, right? So you pretty much heard his backdrop. You heard why he realized that, the banking system is a scam. He finally got locked out. He got threatened so many times. He was sick and tired of being locked out of the system and having ease of access, and then realized it's all freaking Ponzi scheme, right? At the end of the day, which is all stuff that we've already had an awakening to, but on a lower echelon. And now, for the first time ever, we're finally seeing politicians openly admit this. Ladies and gentlemen, we've seen this before in history, but this is pretty crazy that the fact that we are currently living through this, they're openly telling you all what's happening. Before, let's say 10 years ago, if you made content and videos about the banking system is a fraud, the banking system is a scam, it pops up in the conspiracy theory category, right? It's not a conspiracy theory anymore, y'all. Jekyll Island was right? Go read the book Creature of Jekyll Island. It's all right. It's right there. And more people are starting to wake up, and that system, it's decaying, right? It can't keep up with innovation. And so in order for it to keep up with innovation, it needs this enhancement. And this enhancement is DeFi, it's digital assets, it's tokenization, it's automation, it's data, right? It's security, it's quantum, right? So I just wanted you guys to hear that from somebody with credentials that's not just like some influencer, right? These people are telling you guys this, and that's going to play an important role because I'm going to play another video breakdown here in a second, all right? Of another person on stage telling you guys this to be the case. Now I'm going to go through the process of physically showing you all. So you heard Hugo Filion a second ago mention that he's bringing looping strategies and lending and borrowing to XRP, right? Well, let me show you guys that these institutions, they're not only telling you all that this is happening on stage, but they're also already doing this now. Like right now, as we speak, they're doing this in a regulated manner. So for anybody to think that to some degree, there isn't a certain level of regulation that exists for these institutions to be able to do this, they're dead wrong. We just can't see it from the retail side of things, but they've been given some form of green light because this is all happening for the first time in history. And all of the fundamentals I'm going to share with you guys are from this year, right? This is not old, outdated information. So check this out. Here, this is from 8 days ago. Scaling Institutional Adoption, DTCC, Connexus, JP Morgan, Chainlink, all right? I'm going to play a couple of video clips. So first, we got them talking about, this is the DTCC talking about how he wants, or this is a gentleman from the DTCC, excuse me, talking about how DTCC's role is to bring $100 trillion on chain. Just listen to what he says. It's going to blow your mind.
Knowledge and experience working with blockchain and crypto to how you're kind of managing different projects, initiatives at your institutions today. Maybe Dan, I'll let you you dive in.
It's actually interesting to see how this conference has evolved over the years. First of all, the clothing is a little bit different. 10 years ago, it was a pretty wild attire from the conference.
No capes this year that I've seen it.
I haven't seen any either. I'm kind of disappointed. I was hoping for a couple. But that also reflects the kinds of investment opportunities and the crowd in general. It used to be that 5 to 10 years ago, it was what kind of wild investment opportunity was it? You could invest in race cars, you could invest in sports teams, you could invest in your own island if you wanted to. These were interesting for sure, but not projects backed with a real investment thesis. And that's fundamentally different today. So, just this example with real world assets, this is now a very real disruptive force to traditional finance. And for example, in our case, our focus right now is bringing $100 trillion worth of assets that DTCC is responsible for on chain. Many folks here may not know who DTCC is. And
you heard that, right? Our goal at the DTCC is to bring $100 trillion of our assets over on chain.
And that's just one individual. You know what I mean? How many other people are tapped in on this guy's level that also have plans to bring billions and trillions of dollars to chain?
So here is another video breakdown of them going on to talk about how this is closer than most people think, right? So all the researchers that are telling you, that this is coming, this is happening, don't just take it from us, take it from another industry leading expert that's literally telling you guys on stage that DeFi is happening. And then they confirm, I'm going to show you another video clip of them confirm that institutions are going to need to be able to earn yield on these digital assets. That's my focus here, is to get you guys to see that these DeFi strategies will for a fact be utilized and implemented. They already are. You need to stop being nervous and scared about it and instead learn about it and educate yourself, right? Because it's happening. Check this out. Listen to what they say here.
I think the FMIs like DTCC have a big role to play, and I'm excited to see and hear about.
Yeah, no, similar. And I mean, I look at the technology, it's there. Like, we have the technology to do all of this. So no pressure, Dan, but I'm not going to ask for what you think a timeline is for some of these standards to get deployed, but just from your purview and see, what would you say are sort of the steps to getting towards even just the standard within the US market, but then how does that then expand globally? And who are the key players outside of the US and DTCC that you think need to be involved in that?
Well, I do think one of the fundamental barriers to getting to that state where we're able to operate in a global financial ecosystem efficiently, and I don't think that's far away. I actually think it's much closer than many people realize. And I'm expecting next year to have that be the centerpiece of the tone of this conference is, look, we're finally there.
Okay, so I just wanted you to hear him say that we're there, right? We're there. This is happening. He specifically talked about next year, okay? All of this taking place. And then listen to what he says here at roughly about 40 minutes. He talks about how these institutions are going to need to be able to earn yield. All right, check this out. Listen to what he says here.
Really start to accelerate the engagement and hopefully the scaling of the adoption of this. I know we only got a couple minutes left, so maybe just parting thoughts. Would love sort of each of you to, if there was one thing where you could snap your fingers, open your eyes, and it's done to really drive adoption and scaling of this globally, what would you say that is?
All right, I'll go first.
Whoever wants to jump in first.
So I think one of the things that's been missing in the blockchain world is high quality assets on chain, things with an investment thesis. You saw the importance of stable coins on blockchain rails, which provided a unit of account. But if you want real volume and real heavy duty market makers, they have to be able to place their money in things that have an investment thesis, things that produce meaningful yield without necessarily disproportionate risk. That's coming. That's coming very fast. And I think it's going to radically change the kind of value that can be parked on blockchain rails.
Boom, bro, drops the mic. They have to be able to put their money into something that generates yield. Okay, listen, people, these are liquidity pools. These market makers need institutional liquidity pools to be able to park their capital. They have so much mother trucking money, y'all, that if they just put all of their money into Aptos, if they just put a freaking $500 billion order into Aptos, it would skyrocket the price. They got to be able to provide this is just so crazy, the metrics of this. So you just heard that come from the DTCC. Okay. Well, look what's happening right now. Let me show you this. This is crazy. Okay. So does everybody remember this video that myself and hold on, let me share this real quick. So we played this the other day. This is Apollo's Christine Moy. And I said to you guys, look at the dates. This is May 2nd, right? 2025. I told you guys the future of banking will run on DeFi rails. Traditional finance is undergoing a transformation, not just a facelift, but a foundational rewrite. At the core of the shift, DeFi, a technology stack that is turning static banking into programmable, interoperable, and borderless infrastructure where users will be able to put their idle capital to work is happening. Look at this. So in this, listen to what she says. She talks about how she is going to integrate the Apollo credit fund into her DeFi looping strategy, right? Listen to what she says here. And I'm going to show you. Remember, we posted this video back to you guys almost a month ago because this came out 2 months ago and I posted it on May 2nd, right? So we've shown you this is happening all in advance. And I'm going to show you an announcement that just dropped literally either today, I believe it was today or yesterday, it dropped, that they are doing this right now. Exactly what she is saying on stage, using this Apollo credit fund to diversify, earn yield up until the very last second until she goes and spends her money. Listen to what she says here. This is crazy stuff. Check this out. And I'm going to show you guys how Xrpl is all integrated into all of this. Stellar, all of it's all integrated into this with physical proof. Check this out.
You know, when I get paid by Apollo, I get a deposit into, you know, my bank account. And, you know, on any given month, I might check my account and say, okay, my credit card bill is going to be this much. I have this much left to, you know, invest. Usually a hot mess and working too much. So I'm like, maybe I'll just put it in treasuries and get whatever the treasury yield is, if at that. And it's like a multi-step process and need to go press some buttons and call someone to confirm it. And then inevitably the next month I have to pay taxes and then have to unwind out of that and like put it back into cash and then like wait until like my check clears. Now in a future world, you know, and this is what I'm working towards and building with each of you is, you know, I get paid into my crypto wallet. And in my crypto wallet, I have almost like a model portfolio designed that's customized to me. It's going to be 10% stable coins. It's going to be 20% BIDL, money market funds. It's going to be 25% Apollo private credit and like 25% Athena, right?
Give me your pen, Robbie. I got to write this down.
Right. But like, imagine like I have like basically like a customized portfolio to my risk profile that says, Christine at all times wants to have her account in this pie chart.
Yeah,
right?
There's a smart contract that when the assets drop, it deploys.
It deploys automatically. And then what that means is that every last penny of my earnings is fully invested in yielding without me actually having to do anything. And what that means is that every last penny of my earnings is fully invested in yielding without me actually having to do anything. And then, you know, if I'm having
Okay, so I just wanted to play that. I won't finish it off, but just so you guys know, we've been showing people this, all right? Don't forget that the gentleman from the DTCC, this gentleman here, Dan Doney, managing director at the DTCC, just told y'all their goal is to bring $100 trillion on chain and that institutions are going to need these liquidity pools, these solutions to earn yield on
force to traditional finance. And for example, in our case, our focus right now is bringing $100 trillion worth of assets that DTCC is responsible for on chain. But if you want real volume and real heavy duty market makers, they have to be able to place their money in things that have an investment thesis, things that produce meaningful yield without necessarily disproportionate risk. That's coming. That's coming very fast. And I think it's going to radically change the kind of value that can be parked on blockchain rails.
Check this out. This just dropped. Okay. Securitized 1 day ago. Look at this. Shout out to the CYPRX researchers. You know, they keep everybody in the loop. They got everybody tapped in. Man, wow. There are some predators out there for this data, this information. Institutional credit meets Solana DeFi. Minting by locking up Apollo's Accred, and securitizes proprietary vault technology will power the first leveraged looping strategies on Solana through Camino Finance's multiple and drift institutional. Bro, this is crazy. This is physical proof that these institutions now have the ability to loop DeFi strategies. Check this out. Built using Our S token infrastructure, Xrpl, provides permission holders with a composable permissionless token to access DeFi native yield opportunities. Do you can see that, bro?
Yo, this is mind blowing right here, bro. Not financial advice, but it probably wouldn't be a bad idea to hold some Camino Finance tokens as well, huh?
Yeah. So hold on, it gets deeper because I told you I got to show you how Xrpl ties into all of this. Okay. Keep in mind everything. Don't forget anything I've shown you before because somehow it's all connected. So we had the gentleman from the DTCC. We had Christina Moore talk about her looping strategies, right? Or Christine Moy, sorry, excuse me, Christine Moore. Christine Moy. I want to make sure I get these people's names right in case people Google them. All right, so check this out. Here is the fundamental piece on this. This just dropped. Securitizes tokenized credit fund set for Solana DeFi debut as real world asset trend expands. And I'm just going to read through the highlights. A tokenized version of Apollo's private credit fund issued by Securitize will arrive on Solana's decentralized DeFi ecosystem, bringing traditional financial instruments closer to the fast-growing network. If we come right down here, it says, the product underscores growing appetite in crypto for real-world assets and traditional instruments such as funds, bonds, or real estate, and how they are being brought onto blockchain rails to reduce friction. Remember, that's what I was talking about. These institutions bringing all this money in to reduce friction in investing, improve access and transparency, and allow for programmable use in DeFi protocols. In practice, this means investors can use real-world assets as collateral to borrow against, to yield farm, or to plug into automated investment strategies.
Yeah, we Gucci.
Okay, so here's what I was just reading. This is just the fun from CoinDesk on this happening, what just took place, right? So what I was just showing you. So now let's go over to the actual release, right? So this is from Drift. This is from the organization that this is involved with, right? So check this out. Let's read this because this is nuts, bro. Because remember, I showed you a video clip of Donald Trump Jr. of him saying the banking system is a scam, okay? Remember, I told you guys not to forget that. Look at this. It says, Apollo, Securitize, Drift Institutional. Keep in mind that Christine Moy just mentioned that this Apollo Cred Fund is what she's going to use to participate in her looping strategy in the future, right? On stage 2 months ago. And now this is just happening. Drift teams up with Securitize to bring tokenized versions of Apollo's Cred to DeFi on Solana. Drift is excited to announce Drift Institutional, a new white glove service dedicated to guiding institutions through the process of bringing their real-world assets into Solana's fully composable DeFi ecosystem while maximizing capital efficiency. It says, as a part of this launch, Drift will collaborate with Securitize to design a capital-efficient institutional pool. This is an institutional liquidity pool where they can deposit a Cred USDC or a Cred USDT to the pool. So, anybody that's saying that USDT is not in some way, shape, or form falling in line with regulatory compliant, like this goes against that whole entire belief because institutions right now have this ability to provide liquidity to this pool. This is crazy.
That says a lot about USDT for sure. 100%.
I'm just saying, guys and gals, you got to look through some of the stuff on the internet right now. This is crazy. So it says Securitize is bringing Apollo's tokenized cred fund to Solana, marking the first institutional DeFi product on the network ever. Drift is proud to support this launch by building utility for a cred token holders through an institutional pool and leverage managed by Gauntlet. That's important. Both for the first ever for DeFi, right? So do you guys remember a video that I played for you guys? This is, so he's the CEO of Gauntlet, right? And listen to what he says here. I'm just going to play one of the clips where they talk about the old world cash financial system is depleting, right? It's changing. Then they talk about earning 16% yield on chain. And then also Christine Moy is sitting on the stage here. So this proves what we were showing you guys months ago, because she's now sitting on, okay, so look, we showed the video breakdown of her sitting on stage with Robbie Mitchnick from BlackRock, right? A gentleman from Securitize, I believe he's the COO, Michael Sonnenschein, and Christine Moy sitting on stage months ago talking about how they were going to do this, right? And now they're doing it.
Very enticing theoretical promise that Christine so articulately laid out to tangible on the ground impacts in a granular way. And the asset class that clearly I think has the most traction in the whole tokenization space today is these tokenized yield funds or tokenized money market funds. And the reason that tokenization is so significant in that context is that historically, investors of all types have always faced a trade-off between yield and liquidity. Either you could get full access to, as is generally the case, a U.S. Treasury full yield, or you could have full liquidity in the form of cash, right? But you couldn't have both. If you wanted even to hold a money market fund, traditional money market funds, is either next day or end of day redemption, typically limited to banking hours, doesn't work over weekends. And so this ability for the first time, because of tokenization, and as Christine describes, the way tokens can interoperate with each other, you have this exchangeability in a frictionless way between a tokenized yield product and a stablecoin, which can be moved anywhere in the world in near real time at near zero cost, much more efficiently than old world cash does, You put the two together and you have a fundamentally disrupting paradigm for the whole system that we use to handle savings and payments.
That's a very important point you mentioned about the real-time.
You heard that, right? He mentioned the old world cash. Okay. And what he just talked about is exactly what I mentioned at the very beginning, that people are going to start to wake up and realize this. It's like literally simple, basic advancement of human consciousness and the way that we exist as a population on this earth. When people realize that something is better than something that previously existed, there's a transition. And you go from one thing to the next. And this next thing, in terms of finances and the way that we can earn and generate yield and put our assets on chain, like tokenization of real estate, is crazy. You heard him mention that. It's like they're telling you guys this on stage. So that kind of just falls in line with how this is happening for the first time and what the gentleman at the beginning said, Donald Trump Jr. said. But listen to what this gentleman from Gauntlet says, because that's who's a part of this fundamental piece, right? This is being managed by Gauntlet. Well, they were sitting on stage with Christine Moy telling you guys this. Look at this. Check it out. Listen to what he says here. He's kind of this is what I was saying to you, bro. He gave me David Schwartz vibes. Just look at how he dresses. I mean, I think it's outstanding. I mean, at the end of the day, he doesn't give a fuck, and that's cool. Look at him. I mean, shout out to this dude for just being, the black sheep. Like he probably goes into rooms, bro, and people look at him crazy because he's just doing what the fuck he wants to do, which is cool. At the end of the day. I feel like that's exactly how David Schwartz be rolling. He just be having his belly out. And he don't care.
Yeah.
Like because he knows he's the smartest person in the room type vibes,
Hey, facts. Yo, David's a G, bro. I rock with David Schwartz.
I mess with that extreme excessive nerd energy, like just you could be in like a room with Albert Einstein type energy,
Facts. Super facts, dude.
But listen to what this dude says real quick about earning yield on chain. Hold on. And just remember too, I'm trying to show you guys, don't forget any of the videos. So remember the DTCC said, bringing $100 trillion on chain. I still need to show you guys Xrpl's involvement in all this, which I'm going to. DTCC, $100 trillion on chain. And they mentioned these institutions are going to need to earn yield. We're now at this point where I'm showing you guys through this gentleman's organization built on this. They're able to do so, right? Christine Moy sitting on stage telling you guys that this is happening. Don't forget anything I've shown you. I'm trying to catch everybody up because we keep having new people pile in. All right, yield. Let's listen to what he says here.
Both real world assets being issued, but also real world assets being composed with it in the other DeFi protocols.
That's a very important point for me. If you can come in over here, Reed, as well, and then I'll come to you, Christine, especially about the cost and how does it really help remuneratively also in terms of the returns. So could you add anything specific to add on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think, when we talk about these two worlds, right, historically, they've been separated probably because of technical reasons. You can't interop the same way. But also a big barrier has been regulation. And so something that Tarun was talking about in terms of how do these securities interact in the real world and kind of what happens with rates on chain versus what's happening kind of in the real world and other hurdle rates. And so one of the projects we've been working on collectively has been this S token project, which is a technology that we've developed that provides an unlock for securities that are regulated and permissioned to interact with DeFi the way it operates today. So everything is not settled on the regulatory front, and I don't expect it will be for a while. But what happens is you have a bunch of capital on chain. People can iterate at much higher speeds. You don't need to have aggregated capital kind of sitting and go convince someone to underwrite a structure. You can just experiment. And so we've put together an exciting investment product, which combines some of our forces. It leverages Xrpl, which is Apollo's diversified credit fund, as a stable, sustainable yield that it has nothing to do with any supply-demand dynamics in kind of crypto, which is traditionally kind of the real source of leverage and interest rates on chain. Using our S tokens and risk management and capital through Gauntlet, we're offering a levered loop on this Xrpl token. So that puts yield somewhere around 16%. It's permissionless lending from the DeFi world, and I think it's a really great example of how these two worlds don't need to stay up.
I just physically proved to everybody that institutions can go out right now and earn 16%, y'all. This is freaking crazy, bro.
Yeah,
this
that's
is
mind-blowing.
Okay, and so check this out, right? This is it right here. They literally got a whole infographic. This looks like some shit inside the CYPRX Well 28 Club, bro. Look at this. Drift Institutional discovered real-world assets on chain yield strategies. And if we go down here, look at what it says. This is the looping strategy that they can partake in. How it works. It says, repeat the cycle to amplify returns. Mint Xrpl. I literally just had a Zoom call yesterday, bro, with everybody talking about my Aptos strategy. And this is exactly like kind of word for word what I went over and showed how I did it, right? They can mint Xrpl, they can convert Xrpl and deposit Xrpl, and they can borrow USDC against that, and they can repeat and loop the strategy, bro. This is crazy.
That's mind-blowing, bro. That's mind-blowing.
What did I say before we got on the call? I was gonna blow your mind today. This is nuts, dude.
Yeah, this is super nuts because like this is a strategy that is in the DeFi world and has been in the DeFi world, and now to see it with the institutions, and now they're going to be doing it. Like we were right the whole time. This is mind-blowing stuff right here, dude. This is cool.
I got more, bro. So that's the intermission. We'll intermission it right there because I still want to show you guys, right? We had on the same stage that the gentleman from the DTCC was on. I'm going to keep cooking. I'll take an intermission here for a second, but the gentleman that was on stage at the DTCC was on stage with Sergey, I don't remember his last name, Nazarov or something like that, from Chainlink. Okay. And he announced that JP Morgan is finally building on a public blockchain infrastructure on Ondos. They're using Ondos right now. They physically announced that. Okay. And then I want to shift our attention to show you how that kind of falls in line with the DTCC, something that Genfinity just put out. Literally, like I think they put this out. Let me look at the date here. They put this out, May 22nd. So just yesterday, talking about the DTCC's plans for digital liquidity tokens. A new patent outlines integrating XRP Ledger and Stellar blockchain into interoperable asset management. And then I'm going to full circle and show you guys, I've shown you guys in previous video breakdowns how XLR plays a role in this. And look at what just was announced, right? Look at what XLR just put out with this stablecoin interoperability with Stellar and XLR. Look at this. In collaboration with Stellar and Stable, we've written a report on the future of payments, the path to seamless blockchain-based retail payments, and the role of interoperability. This is not make-believe. And you got the gentleman from the DTCC telling you all this. And I'm going to show you physical proof how right now, institutions can use regulated stablecoins in DeFi strategies on the XRPL right now. I'm telling you, I got undeniable proof here. This stuff is crazy. So let me clear my thought process. All right, so let's share the video breakdown real fast of Sergey from Chainlink real fast. Let's show him saying on stage just a couple days ago that they're doing this on.
Really, right off the bat, there was an exciting announcement this morning with JP Morgan, Ondo, and Chainlink. So, Alex, Sergey, would love to just allow you guys to maybe spend a couple minutes to talk through what that was and what you're looking to enable with that.
Yeah, want to go for it?
Yeah, sure. So the Connexus payments solution from JP Morgan, which has its own kind of payments chain for cash settlement, is now able to be used to do the cash leg, the payments leg of a delivery versus payments transaction for delivery of an asset on the Ondo chain. And that asset is like a tokenized treasuries product. And the interesting thing about
A tokenized treasury product. I'm going to write that vocab word down. Remember that. A tokenized treasury product on Ondos, because that's going to be key, right? Okay. Remember that.
About this is that cash settlement chain on the JP Morgan side, which has been working well within the JP Morgan infrastructure for many years now, is now for the first time being connected to external public chain systems. So it's part of this larger trend of where institutional chains and institutional systems are being connected to public chain systems, where they're finding more and more high quality assets. In this case, a tokenized treasury from Ondo.
Okay, so he's openly admitting that now financial institutions are publicly admitting that they're building out this infrastructure on public blockchains. So remember all those people, all those, you know, decoders and all this stuff that were trying to shake you guys out and tell you all that they're never going to use the public XRP. Like they're never gonna, there's some private version and they're never gonna use the public version and blah blah blah. Y'all remember those people? Yeah, they're all done. Because now they're openly admitting that this is coming to public blockchain. So that argument is dead. It's dead in the water. It's gone. Move on. Let's go. Keep up with the moving tides, y'all. Check this out. Okay, I'm gonna physically show you guys that the XRP ledger is a part of this. All right. So do you all remember this one little tiny clip out of all the clips that you can find from Paris Blockchain Week? I don't believe in coincidences. Why would this be one of the only ones that you can find on the internet? It is of Monica Long talking about how, because of the acquisition of Hidden Road, this is going to boost institutional DeFi into the stratosphere. Listen to what she says here.
Hidden Road, which is a prime broker. They're a very high growth prime broker, one of the largest as the non-bank prime brokers. And this is a big deal. It's $1.225 billion.
What does it mean?
Thank you.
What does it mean for Ripple's business? Because you've been on a path to really diversify the business beyond kind of how you started in payments, and there's custody, stable coins now. And so what does this add to the Ripple business?
It's all coming together. So we've talked for a long while about institutional decentralized finance. Many of us here talk about institutions coming into the world of blockchain and DeFi. And this is going to blast that into a new milestone, kind of a new stratosphere.
Why on earth would this be the only one that you can find on the internet? Well, let me show you. It's because they're trying to drip feed and tell you this. So if we come over here to this document from 2025 that Ripple put out, okay, tokenization trends and businesses and beyond. If you scroll right down here, keep in mind Ondo, right? They just announced on stage with Sergey that this is all happening. Okay, check this out. Let me just find it on here. Short-term treasuries with $2 billion on blockchain public rails. Archax and Ondo Finance are deploying XRP ledger technology to tokenize money market funds and US treasuries. What did that dude say? A tokenized treasury product on Ondos. And Ondo Finance is deploying this on XRP ledger technology to tokenize money market funds and US treasuries respectively, right? Okay, and if we come over here, we go to this document from January 28th of this fundamental from Ondo Finance themselves. This is directly from blog.ondo.finance. Ondo Finance expands institutional reach with OUSG deployment on the XRP ledger. Ondo's Finance will deploy Ondo's short-term U.S. government treasuries, its tokenized U.S. Treasury fund on the XRP ledger, a decentralized layer 1 blockchain. This deployment is set to go live within the next 6 months. We are still in that period, okay? It is only the 5th month since they've announced that. So buckle up, y'all. It's about to get pretty crazy over the next 2 to 3 years because all of this is coming for the first time ever. And it says it will bring OUSG to the XRPL's broad institutional user base, introducing a composable and compliance-first asset to a blockchain built for financial institutions. This integration establishes an avenue for institutional DeFi and advanced cash management solutions, bringing DeFi and TradFi closer than ever before. And I just showed you guys how this is happening on Solana already. So don't deny it. It's happening. Institutions right now on Solana can go and participate in mother trucking looping strategies. And I just proved that to you all. So anybody that thinks that this is not coming to the XRP ledger for Ripple, who has accumulated over 200 financial institutional clients over the years, is delusional. They are about to earn yield on their XRP and looping strategies. And this is a whole nother level of utility that is coming to the XRP ledger that people are not ready for or paying attention to. Check this out. So Genfinity, shout out to Genfinity for this, okay? They put this out. This ties into the DTC's gentleman. Remember, on stage, we got the gentleman, Michael, or whatever his name is. Give me a second. I don't want to disrespect him. managing director of the DTCC, I don't know why I called him Michael, Dan Donnie, he said that institutions are going to need to be able to generate yield, right, and provide liquidity. And I just showed you guys that they're already giving access to institutions to provide liquidity right now. Okay, check this out. DTCC's plan for digital liquidity tokens. This new patent outlines integrating the XRP ledger and the Stellar blockchain into interoperable asset management. I don't want to dig too much into this because it is extremely extensive, but this is again just talking about how the XRPL and Stellar in detail are going to integrate into all of this. And it's just interesting that they just put this out as all this information is coming out. This is from May 22nd, 2025. So now let me show you guys some information directly from Ripple, because I don't want to, you know, I respect Gen Infinity and whatnot, but I feel like here at CYPRX, we try not to use other influencers, you know, criteria and stuff, because I don't want anybody to think that this is opinionated. So I want to show you guys the facts, not saying that they don't have facts. Shout out to them. I pay attention to their content, but that's why I don't want to read thoroughly through this. So go check them out. This is a great read where they talk about the DTCC's plan for digital liquidity tokens. I'm sure that you could probably find this link on their X profile, right? Go check that out. Read that because it all plays and ties into this. So let's go over here and I'm going to show you guys physical proof that this is all happening, posted from Ripple. This is from Ripple 2 hours ago, bro. Look at this. 2 hours ago. Shout out to the researchers for this. Tokenized real estate, equities, bonds, deposits, ETFs, $19 trillion of real world assets are set to move on chain by 2033. And the gentleman from the DTCC just told you guys that, right? Well, if we come over here, this is a piece that was just put out by Monica Long herself. Look at that. It says by Monica Long, president of Ripple, and it reads, the tokenization of real world assets is revolutionizing finance as we know it. From commodities like gold and precious metals to financial assets like treasuries, equities, and mutual funds, moving real world assets to the blockchain is improving existing processes, catalyzing new use cases, and democratizing access to financial services. Down here, it goes on to read, as a result, we are witnessing the financial industry shed outdated perceptions of digital assets. Remember, I've shown you now 2 video clips of people on stage, Donald Trump Jr. and that other gentleman, saying that cash is dead. It's old world. Okay, it's going bye-bye. And this is all going to lead to a world that is going to have clear crypto legislation to protect consumers, encourage responsible innovation, and ultimately will make way for the inevitable, right? And then down here, it mentions, in fact, according to a recent research report from Ripple and BCG, tokenized real estate equities are projected to reach over $3 trillion to $2 trillion, respectively. And here's the report right here. We posted this. Shout out to, again, the CYPRX researchers. And look at what they're freaking talking about in this report, okay? If we click on it, it's from April 2025, approaching the tokenization tipping point, Ripple and the BCG. Just reading the highlights, it says, the shift to a tokenized economy is turning financial assets from static instruments into dynamic software. Tokenization is not a digital overlay or an addition to the global financial system. It is a redesign of the infrastructure layer that financial institutions have depended on for years. The promise of a financial system that's programmable, interoperable, always on, instant, and broadly accessible, right? Then it says right here, this report by Ripple and Boston Consulting Group lays out the state of tokenization today, where it's headed in the next 5 to 8 years, and why now is the moment to act before the pace is set entirely by early movers. So, bro, to full circle back to what you said at the beginning of this call, this is again why I firmly believe we are never going to see these prices again once these institutions come in, bro. Once they come in, just like Amazon stock, you ain't never going to be able to buy it for $1 ever again. You're never going to be able to buy some of these digital assets. Like, you're never going to be able to buy Bitcoin again at $500 ever, bro, ever. That's gone. That floor,
gone.
That floor is coming for a lot of these assets, right? In phase 2, look at this. So this is talking about the phases that they're going to go through. I'm not making this up telling y'all they're going to be earning yield. They're the ones telling you this. In phase 2, institutions are going to begin to tokenize higher yield, more complex assets such as private credit, structured finance, and corporate bonds. These products demand flexible compliance, logic, secondary market infrastructure, and broader investment access. Unlike phase 1, which focused mainly on efficiency gains, this stage is about unlocking broader value, liquidity, composability, and yield. Y'all see that, right? I'm not making this up. It says it right there. They're looking to unlock yield. Okay. So for anybody that tells you that this is not happening, well, look at what else they say. They're talking about a strategy that they could partake in right now. It says a multinational organization managing US dollars 1 billion in idle cash and USD $10 billion in annual cross-border payments could gain USD 15 million to 25 million in additional yield by participating in these accounts, in these new accounts on decentralized infrastructure. This is crazy. Okay. So they're actively telling these institutions that they have so much more room to grow in terms of financial appreciation if they participate in these yield strategies. And it's all taking place. Check this out. This is another post directly from Ripple 13 hours ago. This is proof that these regulated assets are about to be able to be utilized on the XRPL for DeFi, specifically for DeFi purposes, DeFi utility. Look at this. Schumann Financials Xrpl is now live on the XRP ledger, the first MiCA-compliant Euro stablecoin integrated on the XRP ledger. This marks a step toward compliant stablecoin adoption in Europe, enabling regulated use cases across payments, tokenized real-world assets, and on-chain financial applications. So let's go and read a little bit about this, okay? Just so you guys can see the highlights. This is from May 22nd, 2025. It says, Schumann Financial today announced a native integration of its MiCA-compliant Euro stablecoin, Europe, onto the XRP ledger. This marks a major step toward bringing compliant euro-denominated stablecoins into active use on one of the world's most widely used blockchains. Down here it says this integration brings the euro-native settlement asset to the XRPL in an institutional-ready layer 1 blockchain, which is what the XRPL is. Over the past decade, the XRPL has processed over $3.3 billion in transactions, supporting over 6 active wallets with a network of over 200 validators, making the XRPL an ideal environment for stablecoins like the Xrpl or Europe, however you say that. Then right here in blue, I have highlighted because it says, Europe will enable access, including DeFi applications. Do you guys see that right there? That's not, again, coming from me. That is coming directly from these documents and these fundamentals. So we're going to be able to use this. People are going to be able to use this asset on DeFi applications built on the XRPL. This is all coming for the first time ever, right? If we come over here, just to show you guys the level of sophistication that this has, to show you that DeFi is not going away, Schumann Financial Operations is under a French EMT license. I don't know if you guys can see this right here. They're fully compliant with the new markets and crypto assets MiCA regulations. And it's also regulated financial entities supervised by the, oh, I'm not going to butcher that one, whatever the heck that says. And whatever the heck, I'm not trying to laugh, but I'm not going to butcher that native language on this call right now. And they're part of the Banque de France. I think that might be French, right? This is crazy, bro. You know, this is full-on proof that there's going to be a portion of DeFi that is regulated, that these institutions and us are going to be able to participate in the near future. And that this is all being built out right now as we speak. Nobody can undeny all the proof that I just gave. This is huge confirmation. You got the gentleman from the DTCC mentioning that they got to provide, you know, they got to be able to provide yield for the institution to participate. You got Christine Moy on stage months ago talking about how she's integrating Xrpl or Apollo's private credit fund into her DeFi looping strategy. And then what did they just announce 2 days ago or 3 days ago, whatever, on Solana? The ability to do this. Boom, right there for everybody to see. This is crazy, bro. This is first time ever confirmation that DeFi has had.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I'm still mind blown. The DTC thing, the patent that they hold, that's intertwining Ripple and Stellar, and just understanding how much money. Like I just Googled DTC's daily volume. It's $11 trillion as of April 9th, 2025. Like this is this is wild. And the holder of that patent, it says on the patent, the DTCC. So they hold this patent. They own this patent. The DTC owns this patent, which is mind-blowing.
I would love to go into this more, maybe on another call or something like that, and break this down with some good highlights. But yeah, man, I mean, I had so much more juice today. We've gone on for almost an hour and 30 minutes now. So I just wanted to take a second and just give a shout out to everybody that's on the call. Shout out to all the profiles and the websites and freaking links that we just used, like CoinDesk. I mean, I don't know if CoinDesk watches CYPRX, but if they ever do, shout out to y'all for letting us, use your link or whatever. But anyways, that's all I got for today. I could go down the rabbit hole. I could go down so many rabbit holes, bro. I literally have like 20 more tabs open, but I feel like I've done my part in showing people that now is not the time to be a naysayer. It's like being a naysayer. If you're a naysayer at this point, you're kind of just uneducated. Not calling people uneducated by any means. And I know most people listening probably aren't in the realm of thinking that this is a scam by any means. But if you have somebody in your family, or maybe you are listening, still a beginner in this space, understand that there's a level of research that you can come to terms with to realize that this is happening. And instead of being skeptical and making indecisions in these markets based off of fear, uncertainty, and doubt, tap in with a community like ours here at CYPRX, or Mr. Mans, or Smokes out there, the people that are actually providing real good, valued research that aren't here to just mislead you, and actually tap into the fundamentals in the documents. If any of you guys are listening and you want to tap into that information, I'm sure we have some CYPRX members on the call right now tapping in. Shout out to y'all as well. We absolutely smoked it today, freaking killed it. This was such a great call, in my personal opinion, just waking people up and showing people the truth. If you enjoyed and you're listening to this as a recording, smash that thumbs up button and subscribe. We do appreciate it. If you guys want to tap in with us, head over to CYPRXtrading.com. We'd love to have you in the team. You got the Wealth 28 Club. You guys can see some of our DeFi yield earning strategies live in the game. We record the videos. We upload the content, the information. You guys can tap into all that education. You can tap in with us in the Discord. All these links, all these documents, all these videos that nobody watches, all these PDFs that nobody's tapped into outside of a couple of people on the internet. All of it's available in the CYPRX Discord if you guys want to tap into that. You got Zoom calls almost every single day of the week, 2 DeFi calls, 2 DeFi mentors. You got calls with me in terms of fundamentals all week. Come tap in with those guys and gals. We'd love to have you on the team. Aquaman, that's all I got. I need to give my throat a rest, bro. We killed it.
Yeah, bro. Nah, this is some wild information. The writing's on the wall. We are here. We are never coming back to these prices. The time is now. Of course, not financial advice, but the time is now. The time is now. So
no bullish Moonboy price predictions, just straight up. I have a firm belief, man, that over the next consecutive couple of years, there's going to be a lot of people that regret not doing the research.
100%. 100%.
Don't be that person that's not doing the research. Remember what I said at the beginning of this, where I talked about whoever has the best data, whoever has the best information in this new age of technology is going to be the winner. So just remember that. We're all on a retail level. So the retail communities that have the best access to information, those are going to be the communities that you see thrive and strive, not these dummy little communities that make you think you're going to get rich overnight. Nah, none of that here. None of that here. You ain't getting rich overnight. But if you put in the elbow grease, if you read the documents, if you finally tune out and look at the vocabulary and you pay attention to the market information, it's possible.